Today we talking about the negative effects that humans can cause on the Chesapeake Bay watershed. I gather some information on this topic and I wanted to share this online and make people educated on this topic. If think I might be wrong in some topic, go ahead and say so in comments. Humans have caused many negative effects on the Chesapeake Bay watershed, including air pollution and climate change. These issues can kill the species that inhabit the watershed and harm the fishing industry. Climate change leads to rising water temperatures and sea levels, which have already been observed. The region is expected to experience further shifts in environmental conditions as water levels rise. Coastal flooding and erosion will increase. Marshes and wetlands will be inundated with salt water and disappear faster than wetland plants can populate higher ground. A loss of marshes and wetlands means losing habitats that trap pollution and provide food and shelter to fish, shellfish, and birds. As air temperature rises, so do water temperatures. Warmer waters place stress on aquatic plants and animals like brook trout, which can only survive in clean, cool waters. Warmer air means warmer water, and warmer water changes aquatic habitats. According to ChesapeakeBay.net, climate change is altering the abundance of wildlife and their migration patterns. It is also affecting the timing of leaf growth and flower blooms across the United States. Air pollution has a major impact on the health of local waters. Scientists say about 1/3 of the nitrogen in the Chesapeake Bay comes from air pollution. When cars, power plants, and other sources release pollutants, the wind carries them long distances until they fall back to the ground or directly into the water through a process called atmospheric deposition. Even when pollution lands on soil or rooftops, rain can wash it into streams, rivers, and the bay. Excess nitrogen fuels algal blooms that block sunlight and deplete oxygen in the water, creating dead zones where fish, crabs, and other aquatic life struggle to survive. This poor water quality harms underwater grasses, shellfish habitats, and the overall balance of the bay ecosystem. Pollutants can travel hundreds of miles before settling, meaning even areas far from the bay contribute to its pollution. About 1/3 of the nitrogen entering the bay comes from air pollution when cars, power plants, and factories release nitrogen oxides. These pollutants travel through the air and eventually fall onto land or directly into the bay. Atmospheric deposition is one of the main ways air pollution affects the Chesapeake Bay. Excess nitrogen fuels algae growth, blocking sunlight and depleting oxygen, which disrupts the bay's natural balance. The Chesapeake Bay airshed area of land over which airborne pollutants can travel covers about 570 square miles, 9 times larger than the watershed itself. This means pollution from faraway regions can still end up in the bay. Chemical contaminants are harmful substances released into the air when coal, oil, gasoline, and natural gas are burned. Some also come from old industrial chemicals that still linger in the environment. The Chesapeake Bay airshed is affected by 3 major chemical contaminants: mercury, PCBs polychlorinated biphenyls, and PAHs polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These chemicals settle into the water and bind to sediment, making them hard to remove and allowing them to remain in the environment for decades. Small bottom-dwelling creatures like worms, clams, and crustaceans absorb these chemicals from the sediment. Fish eat those organisms, and the chemicals build up in their bodies over time, a process called bioaccumulation. This harms fish, wildlife, and humans because the chemicals accumulate in fish tissue. Predators, including humans, can be exposed when they eat contaminated fish. This leads to fish consumption advisories, health risks for people, and long-term damage to fish populations. Chemical contaminants weaken the bay ecosystem, reduce reproduction, and make species more vulnerable to disease, weakening the entire food web. Climate change and air pollution are deeply connected because they come from the same sources, mainly the burning of fossil fuels in cars, power plants, and industries. Greenhouse gases cause climate change, and air pollutants fall back to Earth through atmospheric deposition. As the climate warms, air temperatures rise, which causes water temperatures to rise too. According to the Chesapeake Bay Program, water temperatures in bay rivers and streams have increased 1.2 since 1960. Warmer water holds less oxygen, leading to dead zones that suffocate fish and crabs. Rising sea levels damage coastal habitats. Bay waters have already risen about 1 foot in the last century and are predicted to rise 1.3 to 5.2 feet in the next 100 years. This causes flooding of wetlands, shoreline erosion, and loss of marshes that filter pollution and provide habitat. When wetlands disappear, the bay loses one of its best natural defenses. Extreme weather increases pollution and runoff. Climate change brings more intense storms. The Northeast has seen a 70% increase in heavy rainfall events since 1958. Heavy storms wash nutrients, sediment, and chemicals into rivers, increasing flooding, lowering water quality, and causing algae blooms that block sunlight and create dead zones. Air pollution adds nitrogen in chemicals like mercury, PCBs, and PAWs to the bay, harming fish and accumulating in the food chain. Climate change makes pollution impacts worse. Warmer water causes bigger dead zones. Stronger storms cause more polluted runoff. Rising seas cause more erosion and habitat loss. And higher temperatures cause more ozone and smog. Together, they create a cycle that puts more stress on fish, crabs, oysters, underwater grasses, and coastal communities. Climate change is also reshaping which animals live in the bay, where they migrate, and how well they survive. These changes affect fish, birds, shellfish, underwater plants, and the entire food web. To combat climate change, we can reduce fossil fuel use by walking, biking, or taking public transportation when possible, carpooling, using electric or manual lawn tools, and saving energy at home all help lower greenhouse gas emissions. Using energy-efficient appliances and reducing heating and cooling use can cut emissions from power plants. To reduce air pollution, we can use cleaner transportation, switch to electric yard tools, and support renewable energy sources like solar and wind. These reduce pollution from power plants, which are major contributors to nitrogen, mercury, and other harmful chemicals. Improving agricultural practices also helps better manure management and cupboard storage reduce ammonia emissions before they reach the atmosphere. Reducing air pollution and climate change leads to healthier water, protected habitats, and stronger local communities. Cleaner air reduces nitrogen, mercury, and other chemicals that fall into the bay, preventing algal blooms and oxygen loss. Slowing climate change prevents sea level rise, erosion, and extreme weather that destroy wetlands and marshes. Wetlands act as natural filters and buffers, protecting both wildlife and people. Cleaner air and stable climate conditions improve public health by reducing smog and airborne toxins, lowering rates of asthma and respiratory illness. They also strengthen local economies by supporting fishing, tourism, and recreation. I got all this information from Center website. I will link them, and also I will link my document